I asked you about your wish list. You just gave me my Christmas wish right there. And that Christmas wish is always, I know what a person needs to do, but how quickly can they do it?
Yeah.
It took you one swing.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had to learn golf ball.
This is the third time I filmed this video because the last time I filmed for 30 minutes and it was out of focus, but we're here. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. It's a little bit different than most of my content. Most of the time you see me on the course, you see me playing matches, some sort of like, I guess, competitive format almost all the time. And before we get into this video, I have to say, you guys might be wondering why you haven't seen a Kwon versus Garrett match this weekend. And my apologies for that. Unfortunately, Kwon is he's out of town. He's in New Zealand for the next, I would say, I think like 3 weeks. But he'll be filming content for his channel in New Zealand, which is super cool. I'm actually very excited to watch that content. But unfortunately, we just got back from a good week. We were super busy on the good week, and then Kwon had to leave today, the day after we got back. So all the excuses out the door. We didn't have time to get ahead and film matches for you guys, and it hurts me. I'm pretty upset that I'm not able to upload these weekly matches because I've made a promise to you guys that you guys are going to get weekly competition between Luke and I, and unfortunately I'm going back on my word with that, and my apologies. I'm sorry for that. But they will resume. For those of you that don't know how those matches are working, it's essentially first to 10 wins $1,000 out of the other person's pocket. I'm currently at 7. Kwon is currently at 5. So with all that being said, let's get to the actual topic of today's video and something that I'm very excited to show you guys. Let's get into today's video. Let's get into today's topic. Again, I'm super excited for this, and hopefully you guys are excited for this as well. This is episode 1 of The Grind. For those of you that don't know what The Grind is, I'll explain. It's essentially going to be my progression on getting better at this game of golf and hopefully leading up to maybe one day playing in a pro tournament or something like that. My goal is to show you guys what I'm working on, taking you guys through the process with me on how I'm going to get better at this game. So I think there's no better place to start than my lesson with none other than Jordan Spieth's golf coach, Masters champion, obviously, Mr. Cameron McCormick, an absolute legend, a great golf coach, and one of the best around. So I'm super excited to show you guys what he has taught me. This lesson was filmed probably, I think, about 3 weeks ago at this point. So I've had a lot of time to work on the swing change and make some progression, which I'm also going to talk about in today's video. But before we go on with the rest of today's video, if you guys don't necessarily have the chance to get in-person coaching or lessons at your local course with your local head pro, whoever it may be, I think Cameron McCormick genuinely is a really good follow for you guys at home. His socials are linked in the description down below. All of his socials, his YouTube channel, Altus Performance. He essentially gives you guys on his Instagram a lot of great tips on how to get better at this game. Tips that you normally probably can't get for free. A lot of people do their coaching with online courses. You have to pay this subscription, this, that, and the other to get this. But Cameron McCormick posts a lot of that stuff on his Instagram and YouTube and all that for free. So if you guys want a good coach to follow, Cameron McCormick is the guy for you. Without further ado, let's get into this lesson. We're going to be cutting back and forth from here to the actual lesson at Altus Performance down at Trinity Forest. Let's get into it.
All right, give me the download into me on your game. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses?
Wedges are pretty solid for me. Driving is typically the worst. That's where I lose most of my shots if I'm in and out of play or put myself in bad situations.
What's the bad shot with the driver?
I would say typically it's more left. I'd say typically it's more left. Recently, like in Palm Springs, I was missing it a little bit right. So sometimes it just varies. Whenever I get nervous, I typically get steep. I get really steep and I try and kind of guide the ball. Hit like way down on it. I just feel like I'm just trying to like guide it to my target instead
Kind of manipulate it out there versus
Exactly.
the swing and accepting the outcome.
Exactly, instead of swinging freely. Yeah, I would say that's my biggest issue. Like
What have you done historically to solve the left? If the left shows up first off the tee, what do you go to as the autocorrect? Is it just as you described, as just trying to hit it lower?
So no, like typically I have somewhat of a bowed wrist. So if it's going left, it means I'm not rotating. I feel like my lower body's just kind of stalling, and I'm just kind of like flipping at it.
Yep.
And so instead of doing that, I just try and almost over rotate in situations like that.
Sure.
But then sometimes my timing gets off, and I'll flare some right, or it'll still go left.
Yeah. Physically, how are you? Any limitations, injuries that would prevent you from maybe doing something that I'm unaware of?
I'm not super flexible, just in general. I seem to be pretty healthy. Sometimes I'll tweak my back a little bit and it'll start hurting, but that'll only flare up for about a week and then it'll go away.
If I was the magic genie,
Okay, yeah.
popped out of the ball and I'm granting maximum number of 3 wishes, what would those wishes be?
For my golf game. Ooh, I would like my fairway percentage to go up.
Okay.
That'd be the biggest thing. One of my other ones would be, it would have to do with putting. I've been 3-putting a lot,
Okay.
and that kind of sucks.
Right.
Honestly, my third wish would be more comfortable being shallow. That'd be my other thing.
Happens a lot or seldom, or you are completely unaware of that?
What the? Look at that. Look at that, folks.
Well, Toey.
Toe bangers.
Toe bangers.
Because that felt solid. That one felt middle of the face, for sure. Oh no.
Do you film your golf swing much?
Decent amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that you look at that tells you you're steep? Or is it just the experience of my putt gets into the ground? So I'll tell you this, and it's okay for you to be wrong. You're not steep.
I'm not.
You're not steep.
Really?
No, in no way.
It's just like, it's weird. Okay, then what does it mean when I look at my divot?
Yep.
And it's super into the ground?
So you're saying your attack angle is steep,
Not
not your.
necessarily. Because I can have a heavy downward angle of attack. I can hit a golf ball at 12 degrees down and make no impact to the ground.
Okay.
So I can measure like the plane. This is the plane, golf ball sitting down. We're going to make impact, and I can be super down, but yet abort getting down into the ground as well.
Okay.
So when you look at your divot and you ask me a question about your divot, I think you're talking about the divot depth,
Yeah.
the amount it's into the ground, which is just the how buried is the surface of the ground. Golf ball sitting up on top, right? Okay. Plane, clubs coming in, how buried or how deep the arc is into the ground. The depth of the divot can oftentimes be misinterpreted as being steep.
Gotcha.
Let's say it this way. Now we're shooting this direction. There's the golf ball. Yes. I want you to stand right back here where Luke is. Sometimes when a person views their golf swing, right, you're standing right here, swinging the club in this circle, and the vertical plane is tipped steep, right?
Okay.
Look at the ground with a 90-degree vertical plane. That could be construed as steep. Or when a person's over the top, that can sometimes be termed steep. You're neither too excessive left in swing direction, you're, not too steep in vertical plane, you're not too downward in angle of attack, but you are deep in arc.
Okay.
And I'll explain why here in just a second. I'm going to try and get out of some of that, but that's actually one of the least of the problems. But nonetheless,
Okay.
that was me jumping into the coaching piece, or at least the unpacking what the real problems are versus the perceived problems before even seeing a driver. And the first wish was, I want to hit more fairways, so we're going to see the driver, unless we anticipate hitting fairways with 6-iron, which sometimes happens.
Driver and just longer clubs in general is where I'm struggling. So like it could be long irons, driver, whatever.
Now that you guys have kind of met Cameron McCormick, watched me warm up, hit some wedges, some irons, all that stuff, he watched me for about 15 minutes hit some golf balls before he really gave me any tips. He was essentially, the way I thought of it was when I was hitting, I was thinking he's just thinking of every little thing that I do wrong in my golf swing, and he's putting it all in his brain. Then he's just gonna rip into me about how bad I am. That's what I was thinking in my brain. I was like a little intimidated. He was just looking at me. He was obviously talking a little bit, but he wasn't really saying much about my swing. He was just like letting me warm up and get dialed. So I was just thinking the worst in my head. But I've warmed up. He kind of has me hit some balls, and then he starts drawing lines in my swing. I walk back to the computer. I see my swing from the side. I see it from the back, and I'm like, whoa.
This is good. I'm being dissected right now.
Step right into my office. This is my office right here. I'm going to tell you why right happens, and then why left can happen. And so the skill of athleticism allows us the chance to make up for errors in movement, right? And I see it. 10, 12-year-old talented golfers all the way up to the PGA and LPGA Tour.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, clearly we bring these coordinative skills of hand-eye coordination, ability to hit the ground without hitting it deep into the ground, and ability to know where the club is in space from possibly other sports, possibly from the nature of our parents, right? DNA. So let's talk first about what I see that could cause the ball to go to the right. You are about as loaded for a long time, or what conventionally would be called lag for a long time, as I've seen in a long time, which means that the work that you have to do, because the handle is right now at the finish line being perpendicular to the ground, right?
Yeah, I see what you're talking
The finish
about.
line being slightly ahead of where it starts, you are about as late to start to unwind your angles. What are those angles? Trail wrist, right elbow, as I've seen in a long time. So take a look what the face is. It's facing out at that little chair that's sitting on the ground. That's the skill that you have, that athletic skill to decelerate the handle late, catch the club head up, but when you don't, it's going to go to the right. Now, why you hit it left from there could be a combo play. It could be an error that we see sometimes of toe contact, and that toe contact, if it is the reason it goes to the left, will be a dropping toe contact. It'll spin at 1400 RPM, even though this ball doesn't go left. That's like the toe contact that would produce the dropping hook.
Right, I got you.
Or it's just that because you're doing so much work at such a fast rate, to overshoot the amount of work that you're doing is pretty easy.
That's what happened.
You got fast hands.
Yes.
You got fast hands. Do you hold angle for a long time because of a earlier and more significant problem? I think yes.
Okay.
So I think what we see with driver, you've only had to learn because of what you don't do sufficiently well with your body. So unwinding the error that shows up with driver means unwinding an error that happens before it, right? And here's what we'll get to. Here's typically what I would see from elite level swingers, and therefore elite level ball strikers. I would see at impact their head significantly further to the left than where it started.
Whoa.
So if we just pinpoint this, if we say green dot, middle of hat, green dot, bottom part of your buttons on your shirt, right? And then we just jump to impact, jump to the strike. Bottom part of shirt, hat. Your upper body is in this hang back motion that if you didn't have this orientation through your right arm, right wrist, you'd hit the ground pretty much somewhere in that window, some 4 to 8 inches before you got to the golf ball. So you had to learn this at some period of time because of what you didn't do well with your upper body.
This is in depth. He's drawing lines on my head, my arms, all that stuff. He's doing it all these angles. I'm like stuff I've never seen or understand, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know that much about the swing. And he starts kind of like going through what I'm doing wrong. And one thing that I noticed right off the bat before he really even had to say anything was on my backswing. I noticed I move so far off the ball with my head. I like start here and then I move all the way over here and it never comes back. Like I lose my head back here. And then all of a sudden I'm just using my arms and I'm kind of flipping at the ball and I got to hold on to this angle and then like my lower body stops as I hit the ball and it like stops for a second and then it starts rotating after my hands get through the ball, all this crazy stuff. And that's something that I noticed from the beginning. So at this point in time, we have to rewind a little bit. We got to take it way back. We got to take it way back to when I started playing golf. First off, I've been playing for 10 years now and I've had one issue in my swing. I guess the getting stuck feeling, it's a hitch. It's like being flippy through impact. But the way I'll explain it is when I get up to the ball and I swing, I take my backswing. As soon as I get to impact, my hips have always done this one thing where it stops. They literally stop. Then my hands kind of take over. I flip at it and I do like this weird like hitch and then I finish my swing. And it's a very inconsistent move. So under pressure, I'll get into situations where I just have to finagle the club and try and use my hands. And I either do okay, either do well, or I play really, really bad. And it's something that you just can't have. Like for me, I've never had like a crutch in my swing that I can kind of just lean on if needed in a pressure situation. Like, oh, I'm good at this, so I can do this in my swing. No, I really don't have that. Like when I get in pressure situations, I get super steep and I get kind of stuck and flippy. So I wanted to talk about that because the swing change that Cameron and I worked on has helped that tremendously. And you guys are going to see the difference, a wild difference from even just the time I got this lesson until now. So he's drawing lines. He shows me my head gets stuck back here, flipping at the ball, try and hold on to the angle, all this, whatever happens, like I'm all the way back here and then I'm just trying to hit the ball. He gives me a couple tips. The first one being like, almost feel as though I'm getting down into my left leg, like really just like lean into that left leg, really get down into it, flex that knee, get that weight into the left leg and force myself to rotate. And what this does is almost like it's getting my head to move forward. It's getting my head in a better position. I feel more rotational and less flippy.
It's also one of the reasons why you have to stall out your rotation to unwind this angle. So problem is, you don't shift your upper body left enough. Therefore, you've had to learn to hold angle for a super long time. And therefore, in order to get out of this angle, you stall your lower body, don't rotate through, and flip it.
I feel like I've set up like I'm just stuck and flippy. I always tell myself that, but I never knew why until now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it shows up whether you're looking at face on, which is where all of our attention has been to this point, or whether we're talking about looking down target line. There's so much good that you do in your golf swing, and I should have probably started with that. So please edit this and put that piece in the front end. There's so much that you do really, really well in your golf swing that we can work with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
come on, Cameron.
It's like your golf swing sucks.
No,
It's called a feedback sandwich. Start with something positive, place the negative in there, or the thing you want to change, and then give him something positive again. But it didn't do that. Dang it.
No, his things always look really nice.
Coaching 101. No, I think it's a good moment to leave in there.
Listen, I prefer the negative first.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And most elite level players, just tell me how it is. Here's one thing that I think opens up the potential for you to use your hips a little bit better. And that's where you start with your right-footed address no matter the club. It's very, very perpendicular to the target line. And imagine turning that foot in another 15 degrees. You'd have no ability to be mobile into your hip socket. So if we flare that toe out some 3 to 7 degrees, that's about 15, some 3 to 7 degrees, we open up an ability to use your hips a little bit better in the backswing, and then potentially use that to push off in the forward swing. And when I say push off, I mean pushing off and getting your chest moving left. There's two things that I want to experiment with. After you've identified what you'd like to do, what we're about to do is experimentation, like a football coach sitting on the sidelines, and I think I mentioned this to you when we got together, is I've got this big play sheet. I'm Sean McVay sitting on the sideline, a better looking version of Sean McVay, indeed. And if the first play doesn't work to move the ball and either score or at least achieve a first down, then we go to play 2, we go to play 3, we go to play 4. We're going to try some stuff. It'll be very feel oriented in hopes to get you rotating better both sides of the swing, but even before that, shifting more off your left side. We're going to start with an 8-iron. Why 8-iron? Because it's a little bit more manageable in length, then ultimately land back at driver. 8+. Take a look.
It's the reason I say it feels like it's not possible is because for like 10 years I've done the same thing.
Oh, you've known that your upper body is so far behind where you think it should be, right?
I've never been told that. I've just always known that I'm kind of stuck and flip my hands.
Ah, got it.
And so I never saw the whole head being this far back until today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
So there's the net change.
That's a big change right there.
Whether it's like Annika Sorenstam or David Zavala or Henrik Stenson, who would be the three kind of poster children of head rotation to impact, that's just forget like that the head's rotated, the head's shifted left, the chest is shifted left. With that, now you're rotating your hips open, and this can now start to go away earlier. Right? What you see here, it was necessary. It was a necessary thing that emerged only because you held angle so long. Now, let's put a golf ball in the way.
Dude, that's crazy. I've never seen my body do that in a golf swing until today.
Take a look at this. Impact striking a ball. Here is impact not striking a golf ball, just with that feel. That's a net difference in head position of what? 12 inches?
Massive difference.
Cool, let's go. Let's make it happen with the ball. The disclaimer, you're going to hit it super low for a period of time. It may be a matter of 3 shots. It may be a matter of a practice session.
Right.
But first, let's see that we can shift our upper body the way we're expecting, and then we'll talk about what do I do to make sure that it's not coming out knee high to a grasshopper.
Right.
Take a look at the video. Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Right here.
Whoa.
That is phenomenal. I asked you about your wish list. You just gave me my Christmas wish right there. And that Christmas wish is always, I know what a person needs to do, but how quickly can they do it?
Yeah.
It took you one swing.
Yeah.
Wow.
One swing.
Dude, that is crazy.
There you guys go. Complete shock. It's something that I've never seen. I've never seen that in my golf swing. I've never been in that position. So I was so shocked. I was like, just like that, that's allowing me to get through the ball more. And one thing that we talked about is because I'm like, instead of being back here, I'm here. Naturally, I'm going to have like more forward shaft lean. I'm probably going to hit the ball a lot lower for a while until I can almost feel the club shallowing out back here. It's almost like it's a casting feeling, even though you're not actually casting the club. So there you guys go. You see the differences already. And I would say that that's like the main thing. That's the main thing we worked on. I've been working on this for 3 weeks to almost a month now. And that's been the hardest part, is like not letting those hands too far ahead, launching the ball too low. If I just work on that one thing of like down and through the left leg with the head like returning to where it starts, then the ball is going to launch like abnormally low. That's definitely the part that's been the hardest.
This is the start of a journey. Doesn't end at this one session.
And it's going to take a lot of reps, I can tell you that. But I'm starting to get the feel, like already. I can feel that. So I think with time, I'll get there.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome,
Thank
buddy.
you. Thank you. Guys, if you haven't already, Cameron's socials will be linked in the description down below if you want to give him a follow. What are you posting? You post a lot of tips and things to help people's golf game at home. So
I mean, I'm a coach by heart. I'm a coach by trade. So whether it's live
Right.
in real life, or whether it's on the social or YouTube, yeah, for sure.
yeah, and for those of you that don't necessarily get in-person coaching, I think Cameron is a great follow for you guys. So his Instagram will be linked in the description down below. Cameron, thanks so much for that lesson.
Yeah,
Seriously,
absolutely.
I think that's going to be a game changer, guys. You're going to see me working on this a lot, and I hope I can dial it in.
All right, well, it's a new day. It is a new day. But essentially what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to run you through some changes that I've seen. We're going to take a little timeline. We're going to strip footage from a couple different videos that I'm going to talk about. You guys are going to see, I guess, the progression in my golf swing. This lesson was filmed, and I had this lesson like over three weeks ago. And the first video back was a match against Quan, where he shot 63 that day at Bridlewood. 1, he played well, and 2, I didn't play the best. So I got absolutely demolished. And one thing that I noticed is I was launching the ball a lot lower, and if anything, I was missing it a little bit left. So this is something that Cameron and I talked about, and he said this is going to be a common miss, kind of lower and to the left. It's a whole new feel, and with getting through the ball, how I'm getting through the ball down into that left leg, naturally that ball is going to want to launch a lot lower until I can kind of learn to not have so much forward shaft lean. So it's been a couple step process, kind of starting to get the feel of this. And this is the biggest swing change that I've ever had. Like by far, it's something, again, I've tried to fix this little hitch in my swing for 10 years now. Like ever since I started, I've always had it. And I've had coaches tell me this, and this, but the way Cameron explained getting through the ball to me was a whole new thing. And it's changed my golf game. So first video back was that match with Quan, low and left. You guys can obviously see the clips on the screen, see how I'm kind of hitting it. Didn't hit it that well that day. Felt positive because I knew I was making some progress. Seeing that ball go low and left kind of told me that I was making the change, because that was a miss that we predicted. Kind of fast forward, and I played a lot better in the charity tournament. I started launching the ball a little bit higher, and I started getting the feel of the swing change a little bit more. And now I want to fast forward. I just got back from a good week. I took a couple swings on the range that I really want you guys to see how much of a difference we have in my golf swing. So first, I'm going to play the good swing on the range. It's a 6-iron swing here. One thing that I want you guys to look at on this swing is this back right foot. I want you to see this back right foot. The heel kind of gets in the air. I'm kind of going frame by frame at impact. So you see impact there. Heel's kind of in the air, and that foot doesn't stop moving. It keeps rotating. But even more than that, what I want you guys to look at is the back 2 belt loops on my pants. Impact, let's do slow-mo through impact. See those back 2 belt loops? I want you guys to see how they never stop. That's something that I've never had in my golf swing. At impact, I've always had my right foot on the ground for like a solid second. And then after my hands and my arms go through the ball, then the rest of my body as well as that trail foot start to rotate. Now, the reason I wanted to show you guys that swing is because let's go back to a 6-iron swing, I think about a year ago, and I want you guys to see the difference. We take the backswing, and one thing in the backswing, hands are a lot higher, less depth. Now on the through swing is where we really need to look. At impact, the foot is on the ground. That back right foot is on the ground, and you'll see it stays on the ground. It's still on the ground. Then my arms and hands move, and now my foot decides to move. So there's virtually no rotation powering through the ball on that back leg. Now, another thing that I want you guys to see is these hits. You can kind of see that hitch. Now we're going to go 50%. We're going to go slow motion. You can kind of see the hitch a little bit more there. So to me, I'm actually going to keep it at those two swings. We're making progress. It's different. It's a new feel. We're going to get there. Shout out to Cameron McCormick for giving me a lesson of a lifetime and changing my golf game forever. I'm super excited for the future. I'm super excited for Break 65s, playing potentially competitive golf, and also whenever Kwon gets back from New Zealand, resuming our matches. I hope you guys are excited for this as much as I am. I know it might seem like a little bit of a over-exaggeration for me to be so pumped up about it, but I think if you guys put yourself in my shoes and think it's been 10 years trying to fix a little bit of a hitch in my swing and now it's gone, it feels like a breakthrough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, stay tuned for more content, guys. Until next time, peace out.